The following podcast is brought to you exclusively by the Rad Rob Radio Network.
Ocho tells you exactly what's going on all the time.
Dr. Ocho? Who the f*** is that?
This is PBA champion Kyle Troop.
Hey y'all, Jacob Ledrup here.
Hey guys, Chuck Ritchie here, formerly of Bowl TV.
Hey guys, this is Ryan Schaefer of track staff at Valley Bowling Center in Waverly, New York.
And you're listening to Straight Up 5.
Yo, the boys from Straight Up 5, Rad Rob, Dr. Ocho.
Doesn't have the best hair in the world. I do. Sorry, bud, but you know the deal. Pick it out. Fear the fro, baby.
Welcome to Straight Up 5. A hard-hitting, in-depth, cutting-edge look into the world of bowling. This podcast will not only cover all things bowling, but will also give you a raw look into real-life issues. So without further ado, let's introduce you to the hosts of the show. Rad Rob Francois. Rad Rob Francois. Dr. Ocho. Dr. Ocho.
Hey guys, welcome back to Straight Up 5. I am your host, Rad Rob Francois. Oh, I had it in the wrong sound. God, Jimmy! I'm firing my producer. He was supposed to set up my board the way. Hey, let's try this again. I'm your host, Rad Rob Francois. Love that chicken That's better. Jesus. Anyway, this is episode 182. I have a very special guest tonight, but before we do that, there's nobody in the chat. Are you serious? The chat usually pops off. It's an award-winning podcast. It hasn't worn shit. Come on, guys. I see you in the chat. I see you in here. There's 12 of you right now. Somebody say, hey, where's Nico? Where's Chuck? Where's Dr. Ocho is off tonight. He is still shoveling out his mom's house. They just keep getting pounded by snow. So hopefully he will be back next week. We're looking to have David Bug Kroll back here. He's in Vegas right now, but he should be here next week. I also have Danny Wiseman lined up again. We're planning on doing a watch along of his win in the baseball stadium. Nobody wants to talk to me. Ada, what's going on? What's up? Welcome to the show. I appreciate you. Usually there's like, Nico's like, hey, you're late, blah, blah, blah. And there's 15 people here popping off in the chat. But in any event, it is fine. It is a new custom here on the show as we pay homage to our fine men and women in the military and pay homage to our country with a singing of our Star-Spangled Banner, the national anthem.
Oh, see, can you see by the dawn's early light was so hell twilight at the last gleaming was right, who brought us fight o'er the rapids we walked stream and the rocket's red glare, bombs bursting in air, gave to the night that the stars were still there, or still yet wait, brave and the home of the free.
Join me in prayer, please.
That one got me. I'm pretty sure we could watch Fergie a million times over that one. I heard that went viral. And the guy What's up, Nico? What's up? You're finally here. You're late, Nico. You always give me shit for being late. I was on time. I do. We'll get to I do. Hold on.
I do.
There we go. I heard that guy was actually like able to come back on like a New Year's Eve special or something on live TV, like Today Show or whatever, and sing it properly. But that poor bastard. How do you not know the national anthem? That's just that's pretty rough. Anyway, let's bring in our very special guest. He is the founder and president of BowlU, the one and only Mr. Rick Benoit. Rick, what's going on, brother? Appreciate you being here, man.
Your intro was special, buddy. That was, I loved it.
Oh man, yeah, I try to do something to set the tone for the show.
Yeah, you did.
I appreciate you being here, man. You're a little bit hard to get a hold of, but
I apologize for that. But I like it that way.
That's right. That's right. So there's something I noticed on your Facebook page that caught my attention. So we're gonna start out hot right out of the gate here. You had made a post about let's see if the person I am talking is smart enough to figure this out. You said what do I know wouldn't work in today's PBA. You probably thought I couldn't help a bowler with a tenth of your talent and experience destroy you and your fellow Hall of Fame teammates. I guarantee there's nothing they can do that what I know won't work. And you can't get that knowledge and experience anywhere else. You think you know what I know? Not even close, my friend. It's egos and thoughts like yours that is holding our sport back. I'm going to put you on the spot. Say who you were talking about.
Well, I'll open it up for guesses.
Okay.
Awesome. You've done your research, buddy.
I'm putting you on the hot seat already. Let's see.
I'll share the name, but I'm just curious what you guys got out of that.
Simo?
I stay very active in trying to make people think. Most of what I do on Facebook is real late at night or real early in the morning. And whatever just pops in my head at the time, somebody stirred me up. Somebody reminded me of a comment that somebody made on a podcast that I wasn't even a part of.
Yeah.
I wasn't there to defend myself, but they supposedly spouted something off. And so I thought I would make a little secret message, deliver a secret message to a person I respect very much, but he shouldn't open his mouth. So who do you think it was?
It's only fair if he's going to talk smack about you for you to actually be there. So,
well, I wasn't, I have to be fair in, I got it secondhand news. I didn't hear it. I didn't hear what was said at all. So it was somebody else telling me that somebody said this on their podcast. And it was a good friend of mine, very close friend of mine.
Okay.
I'll give you all sorts of hints.
Give me hints.
Maybe you don't need hints.
Current generation or PB50?
Both.
Both. Oh, Jesus. Chris Barnes.
Jeez. Good guess. Come on, man. Did you know ahead of time?
Podcast. Who had the podcast? All right. Could be, and once you said it was both, I'm like, oh, that's that was easy. Look, we had Chris on the show, and I like Chris. I like his show, and he had obviously a reputation in the past for being kind of a hothead and ultra competitive. But so did you actually go back and watch the show or get the correct quote, or did you?
No, it wasn't that important to me.
You just threw it out there.
It was kind of a funny comment to me, wanting to know if they knew, if they got it. And he had to know because it was pretty, how do I say it? Now, let me just, I love Chris. He's a great friend. We love to argue. We love to dispute.
Sure.
We always have. And, I go back to the very first show Chris made, and my message to him, coming off of his amateur career, which you alluded to earlier, he wasn't the most liked.
Yes. Right.
And his very first show, my message to him was, it's not whether you win or lose today that matters. It's how the millions of people that are watching you perceive you that's going to determine how successful your PBA career is.
Yep.
And I tell you what, he responded in a way that only Chris would. And I say this jokingly because we used to tease him about it all the time, because Chris was, he wasn't, he was very much, he wasn't a social guy,
right,
as an amateur. He was very, more of an introvert than anything else. But after that, now I'm going to take all the credit for it. It probably had nothing to do with me, but we thought he was running for mayor every week. We'd be trying to go to dinner, and we had to wait on Chris because he had to go say hi to this person, hi to this person. He handled himself like a true professional, and I really think that people can see the change in Chris. If you knew him as an amateur and you know him now, it's not the same person, and it's a wonderful evolution. So even though I was picking on him because we kicked his butt with a guy that had never even been outside of his own country, I fooled Chris. I fooled the other two guys that were on Team USA. Well, one was Team USA, one was Team Brazil, but both of them very popular in the United States. So this unknown bowler kicked all their butts, and it was purely strategic. And I used Chris against himself and his teammate, which, why not mention it, Bill O'Neill.
Right.
So this guy, this unknown, went through both of them easily. And it was because we strategically outsmarted the people that I respected the most. And Chris has always said what he thought. Sometimes he still says things he shouldn't say. So I remind him quite often.
What was the gist of what he said? Like, what did you hear? What were you told?
Yeah, and I have to say it's what I was told. They were basically saying, because both Stu and Chris, believe in what I teach, very much so, but they don't think it would work on today's tour. The thing is, I taught them what they needed to know during the time that we worked together on the tour. What they do now isn't the same thing, and just like we kicked their butt in the Pan Am Games, we could kick their butt on the PBA Tour again. And what I know would most definitely work for Chris or against Chris. So, yeah, that was... And really, I have to say that take those things pretty lighthearted. I get people thinking.
Sure.
I love Chris. I love Stu. At the same time, I love to argue with them too. So we're all opinionated people, and being able to share those opinions are very important.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, what's wrong with stirring the pot every now and then, right?
We did it all the time. We did it to each other's face. We might as well do it out in public too.
That's right. That's right. So we've had a couple other coaches on the show. We've had Mark Baker on the show. We've had Dale Warren. What makes you different than, say, the other top coaches?
My focus. It's just what I focus on. I believe that the physical game coaches are great. I think that we don't need any help there. I think there's a lot of great physical game coaches out there. So I don't focus on that as much. Mm-hmm. What I focus on are the things that I don't think get the attention they deserve. More of the strategic side of it, more of the things that you can't see, the things that other people can't teach, from the experiences I've had from traveling around the world, sharing those experiences open up a whole new perspective of the sport that a lot of people don't understand.
What made you decide you wanted to coach?
Injury. Injury. I took the pathway of many. I was an athlete in many different sports, and I only chose. My family's always been in bowling. I grew up in the bowling center. My dad was pop bowling late at night, and I'm sleeping in the bowling center at night. It's just always been a part of my life. Yeah. But while I was participating in other sports, my oldest brother, who you guys probably know as Bob, he was focused solely on bowling. So I always loved bowling, and while I was participating at the time in my latter years in softball, traveling around the whole Southwest, playing all the time, I would love to go and watch when he was bowling. And so when I decided that, okay, my softball playing days were over, I wanted to get a little bit deeper into the bowling part as a competitor. And I was on that pathway, and I got hurt. Sciatic nerve issues, and I couldn't bowl 2 days in a row. One day fine, the next day I couldn't. And it was during that time that I started coaching. And, I really found out, wow, I enjoy helping other people more than I enjoy bowling myself. So that's where it got started. And then it just kept going and building and building and building. And it got to the point where, so for the people that don't know, I've traveled the world coaching. So it's not just in the United States. A lot of people perceive that bowling outside the United States is the same as it is in the United States. And it's completely different. It's a lot of your bowling centers in parts of the world are actually in country clubs.
Really?
And so it's the affluent bowl. It's not quite as blue-collar sport outside of the United States as it is inside of the United States. So it's supported by governments, and it's being able to share the experience of the South American games, of the Asian games. Those are Olympic environments. You would not believe. I mean, athletes, villages, and everything, and you're right in the mix of it, and so you're just with every other sport, and the governments are supporting it much greater than they do here in the United States, and the perception of the sport. Bowlers are on billboards. Bowlers are in their century's greatest athletes, and the amount of money they make substantially different. So, sharing those stories, I think, are important, but understanding the difference is there's a lot of great bowlers around the world, let me tell you. A lot of great bowlers around the world. And if I could deliver a message that I want to make sure gets out of this show, is the most important thing is the pathway we build from recreation to the best of the best.
Yeah.
We're not doing anything wrong down here at the recreational level. None. It's great. The more bowlers we can get, the better it is. But the pathway from here to the minority, the extreme minority, is weak. Yeah. It's broke. It's non-existent. And so that's really what my focus is building on that pathway in between.
So how other than the colleges, because there are a lot of colleges that are feeding athletes into the pros, but how else do you get people from here to here? Because it's not like it was in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. It's number one, there's not as much money, not that there ever was that much to begin with, but there's not as much money in being a professional athlete in bowling, especially. So what do you do to try to get people to get to the next level?
First of all, we have to establish that the majority will always be in the recreational pool.
Right.
The people that are in the recreational pool want to go bowl, and they don't want to have to think. They don't want to have to, strategize and bring a lot of bowling balls and think different next week than they do this week. But we can't have millions of people thinking they're best of the world. They can't.
True.
You just can't have that. You don't have a pathway.
Right.
So when you try to introduce something to build the pathway, you make these people feel good. The recreational level needs to feel good. If they want to shoot 300 every game, let them.
Right.
But you've got to create something different up here that makes these people respect what they are doing up there. Mm-hmm. And instead of saying, well, I can do that, they got to say, that's impressive. I can't do that.
Yeah.
So there's none of that. That pathway is not there. Can we do it? Yes. But when we build it, we need to make it clear that this up here is for an extreme minority. And it's their competitive instinct that separates them, not their skill level. There's lots of guys down here that throw good. Millions of people who have good ball roll. But the number of people that can compete at this level that's based upon variety, true variety, is probably less than a handful. And that's not cutting anybody down.
Sure.
If we build the steps in between there, everybody's happy and the industry grows. That's where we're lacking.
So you do that through state and local tournaments on sport shots?
You do it, first of all, number one, you have to let their competitive instincts separate them. Mm-hmm. You have to let them go where they want to go, not force them. You don't force rules in the recreational level because you think it should be up here at this level.
Right.
This level down here, you just let them have fun, keep them coming back. What makes them go up to that next level? It's a different challenge because you're going to get bored of shooting 300 that often.
Right.
You're going to want to try another challenge. So it is the challenge. It is the competition. Now, we have to be well aware of what the effect is of having the present formats of competition. We have to be well aware that you're making it a one-shot sport.
Right.
It was meant to be a two-shot sport, and you've turned it into a one-shot sport. Okay, that's fine down here, but how are you going to get these people to want to take the next step? I have my opinions, but I'm not going to be able to come on here and change the world. We're going to have to, we have to change the competition.
Absolutely.
We can't use the same competition up here that we're using down here. We can't believe that the same using these perfect lane machines and this perfectly flat surface is the way to do it.
Right.
We can't believe that because you're making the problem worse, not better. Because one side of the lane gets more play than the other side of the lane. Once you figure the trick out on the one side of the lane, it stays the same way.
Yep.
And so you got a built-in advantage. You can't do that. The difference between good ball roll and bad ball roll is how sensitive it is to differences, not how many revs you have. It's how sensitive your ball is to the differences we give you. So if I give you something that's different on purpose and you have bad ball roll, you're going to suck. You're not going to beat the person with good ball roll who's less sensitive to the differences. So you have to be really open-minded and change the current competition. It has to look different to make the unknowledgeable respect what they're doing. It can't be just an opinion. It has to be obvious. Right. So what can we do? I've experimented with that and I have my opinions, but it's only my opinion. I would love to sit down with the people, if they're willing to listen, and discuss how that can be done.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't mind hearing a few of them because, I mean, we have the top of the industry that watch this show. So, I mean, if you were to throw something out there, just spitball, just give me a couple ideas of what you have.
Are you familiar with any of the competitions that I throw out that I've introduced out there in the past?
I am, but for those that are watching that may not know, let's just give a little intro to what you're talking about.
Well, when I'm doing the international traveling, when you're dealing with Olympic committees, they do things like that's called KPIs, key performance indicators. They want to know how good the athletes are going to perform in this highly competitive environment without actually going there. So developing types of competitions that would showcase their ability. You have to have variety, number one.
Right.
And then you have to sit here and you have to figure out, well, how can we identify what they need to do? The number one thing that separates skill levels in bowling is your ability to pick up spares.
Right. Yep.
Can you fill frames? You know, if you took a bowlers with great ball roll, and you know bowling's about transition, the bowler that knows how to deal with transition and pick up their spares will last longer. So if we had a continuous scoring environment, yeah, if you had a continuous scoring environment and it was based on your score was done when you had 3 opens. I call this clear the deck. You have 3 opens, your score's done. But it's continuous scoring. It changes the mindset of everybody, including the tournament director. The tournament director says, I'm not going to put that house condition out there. They'll be here all day. So let's put something out there that's more challenging. So now you not only change the mindset of the tournament director, but you also challenge the bowler to be able to and make it a 2-shot sport again. And believe me, I've done this, and the highest score ever shot was 31-40 something. Okay, and that was on a house shot. And what happens when you're going through, because bowling always has been and always will be about transition.
Yep.
Your mind will fool you. You don't know if you threw it good, you threw it bad, you don't know, but a good bowler does. You're going to have 3 opens before the good bowler does. And the good bowler always wins. I say always. 90% of the time, the better bowler wins when you play clear the deck.
Yeah.
And it changes everybody's outlook on the sport. And it's uniquely different. And it can be done. And it's based upon true variety. So like I said earlier, good ball roll is less sensitive to differences. Bad ball roll, whether it strikes or not, is more sensitive to differences. So you put differences out there, and the bowler with good ball roll will naturally go to the top. So, you know, and how you build that, you need to let people know this isn't meant for everybody.
Right.
It's not meant. It's meant to separate the millions down into thousands and hopefully down into hundreds.
Yeah.
So now we can really identify who the best of the best are.
Well, there are a lot of good tournament directors out there that play with different patterns. Greg Tack has done a lot of good work with it, especially with the kids, trying to get them to learn how to bowl on sport shots. Championship Bowling out in the Idaho, Utah area. They do a great job as well with their tournaments. So there are lots of good tournament directors out there. Especially, you got NEBA's been around for 100 years. There is another competition for people that just want to get out of the house shot and bowl in decent ran tournaments. But unfortunately, the house shot has made people think that they're unbeatable. And something we talked about on the show quite often, and we brought it up last week is, and I'll pose this to you, are the requirements to get your PBA card too soft? We're talking about the best of the best in the world, and anybody that averages, I think it's still 205 now, can get their card. It
would be fun. It would be fun to have a round table of people that are willing to spend the time to sit down and build this pathway.
Right.
I've done it in my own time and what I think it should be done, but I'm not the authority. I'm not trying to come on here and say I'm smarter than the rest of the world. I would love to get the people that truly understand that bowling always has been and always will be about transition. That the traditional thought of the 300 game, the traditional thought of 12 frames, that's all great for one part of the sport, but not for the highest level.
Sure.
We're not challenging these guys at the highest level too much. It would be an argument. There's a whole lot of people up here that believe they're up here, and just through conversation, they're not even close. And that's not to discredit them. That's to say that they haven't been given the opportunity to experience what bowling truly is about at the highest level. The highest level. I don't want to discredit anybody, but we got to, if you're trying to identify the best of the best, there can only be a handful of guys up here. And how you identify who they are, it's through variety. You have to provide variety, true variety, and the competition will prove it. You won't have to use any words.
Right.
The competition I just mentioned to you is one form. Another form that's really, really fun is presently in the sport of bowling. I told you earlier that, bowling needs you separate them, number one, by who can fill frames. Okay, but at the highest level, we spend 8 frames hoping that the 9th and 10th frame is fun.
Right.
Hoping that the competition, we get to the 9th and 10th and it's exciting. But we all know that it's who makes the best shots when they need it the most.
Yep.
So we're hoping it's a good 9th and 10th frame. But you're spending over 2/3 of the show trying to hope it's going to be a good 9th and 10th frame. Eliminate those 8 frames. Just have a best of 7 9th and 10th frame roll off. Double elimination.
I like
Think
that.
about that.
Yeah.
Every shot. And I did that international competition and then interviewed the guys afterward. I said, man, I've never been so tired in my life because there weren't any of those free frames.
Right.
Every shot mattered. So it's who can make the best shot when they need it the most. So instead of hoping for 8 frames that we have a good finish, you guarantee a good finish.
Yep.
And you do best of 7, 9th and 10th frame roll off. And you do double elimination. And man, I'm telling you, the intensity is unbelievable.
Dude, that's amazing.
So there are forms of competition out there that will help identify the best of the best if we choose to use them.
I like that. And I think that'd be great for TV because, it's exciting. It's fast paced. I'm sure you still have to find a way to work in your commercial breaks because obviously we need sponsors, that they pay the bills. So, but I'm sure they could work with that. I would love to see something like that on TV.
Oh, it's a blast. I'm telling you, it's a blast. And the energy in the building is so real. And, it's kind of like when you look at other sports and take a basketball game, they play basketball every day. And the intensity is what the intensity is in practice and whatever. But when you put in an environment where the fans and the players are feeding off of each other, that intensity gets so high that it affects the performance. That's what this does. It really intensifies the environment in the building at the time. And that's what really, that's what you need to feel as a player. That's what you want to feel as an audience. All of those things are ready and can be used now. And you would easily remove from millions of bowlers, at least down to thousands.
Right.
And then people would want to do that. And I'm telling you that I used to tell bowlers all the time, until you can do everything from both sides of the lane, you got something to learn. And then Anthony Simonson showed up.
Right.
So It's cool. It's cool. That kind of proves it. And the evolution of bowling, it's going to get there.
Sure.
I just wish we would speed it up. We don't need to wait that long. All we need is a handful of these great bowlers and give them the variety, and they'd separate themselves. It wouldn't take words. And it's only going to be 100 guys. It's not going to be, maybe it'll only be 20 guys.
Right.
But the point is, the people watching would say, that's impressive.
Yes. And you're right
it's
about
not like I can do that anymore.
Right.
It's like, wow, that's impressive.
And the fans in the building would love that. You would have rabid fans waiting to see, because bowling can be boring. Take a shot. All right, wait for take another shot. Okay. You hope for strikes, but you don't always get them. So I can see how that would be faster paced. And again, more excited with more on the line.
And here's one of the things I try to tell people is you have to judge the environment, the attitude of the environment. And when bowling becomes a one-shot sport and you're just in a league high pot and you know it's going to take 260 to win the game.
Yeah.
You know, you better, if you don't shoot 260, you got no chance. You know by the fourth frame if you got a chance or not.
Yep.
So you're bowling over half the game with a shitty attitude.
Yep.
So those are the things, and I'm not discounting that or discrediting that, or that's fine. I don't believe that the recreational bowler needs to be told they got to quit doing what they're doing. The swimming, it's like a swimming pool, the recreational end of a swimming pool. It's always going to be crowded.
Right.
They're just splashing around and having fun, and that's the way it should be. Yeah. How many people are in the laps? How many people are down there swimming laps or trying to do flips off the board? Not very many. And that's what lifeguards are for, to separate them. We don't do that in the sport of bowling. We try to make the recreational bowler compete. You can't have weight holes in your bowling ball. You mean I got a weight hole in my ball? They don't even know it. They don't care.
Right.
So we got to build those steps.
I'm still upset over the weight holes. I still have weight holes in my equipment. I don't know what Chad Murphy says. But no, I like your ideas. We do have a question from the chat. Emerald Sin wants to know, Rick, do you have an actionable way to help people find good ball roll or identify bad ball roll?
Yes. It's called transition. Transition identifies you. The people with bad ball roll are saying, man, these lanes are totally different than they were in practice.
Right.
The person with good ball, they're a little bit different, not that much different. You switch pairs, and the person with bad ball, oh my God, this is totally different than that last pair. The person with good ball rolls, a little bit, but not that much different. Right. So it's variety, putting out purposeful variety that separates those people with good ball roll and bad ball roll.
How do you fix those that have bad ball roll? Like, what do you look for indicators?
Well, you have to work within the dimensions of the lane. You know, the dimensions of the lane haven't changed since the late 1800s.
Right.
But the bowling balls hook 100 times more than they used to.
Mm-hmm.
The challenge now isn't to make a ball hook, it's to keep it within defined spaces.
Yep.
So you have to define what those spaces are. And BowlU's done this. Matter of fact, you maybe can't see it. No, you can't, the glare. But behind me, the dimensions of the lane, there's only so many shapes and angles that fit on a lane, and we can put them on there. From 0 degrees, 1 degree, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, as high as you want to go. Mm-hmm. And only a few of those lane play zones would really make sense when you understand the movement of oil. So you challenge them to those lane play zones that are based on the dimensions of the lane, and you develop ball roll based upon those dimensions, not a pattern. You don't want the oil to control the ball. You be able to play the zones that fit within the dimensions of the lane on call. That's good ball roll.
That's outside the box.
Yeah.
And it works everywhere. Something we've heard on the show before. That actually piques my interest.
It works everywhere, and they can't shut you out that way.
Right.
It just, there's so much going on right now of people talking about this pattern and that pattern and this and that, and this ball and that ball. You put a good bowler on there, and they make it fit those lane play zones just like that. Now we're going to go play this lane play zone, and they do it just like that. Those are the good bowlers.
Now, how do you get more centers and more TDs to do that? I mean, how do you make that a norm?
Here's my opinion on that. I would make Team USA bigger. There'd be Team USA members in every state.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Or every region, however many people you wanted. And then I would teach them. And it would be their job to go around in their area and share that and spread it out. That's how I would do it.
And
I would make that an initiative that the manufacturer supported, that every governing body in bowling supported. So we wouldn't have, a dozen Team USA members. We'd probably have a dozen in every state. But then we would bring them in and teach them this. These are the things that are constant. They were same in the late 1800s as they are now. And they'll be the same until they get somebody decides to change the dimensions of the lane and the configuration of the pins. It'll be the same. All that other stuff they do with the oil and all that stuff, that really means very little. It just causes argument. A good bowler who can play each one of those lane play zones can't be shut out, period.
Right. Yeah.
And that's all you have to teach them. And that's how I would do it. I would do it through the governing bodies, Team USA and PBA. That's where I would do it, because there's a lot of PBA members that need to make some money, that don't make money.
Sure.
They would welcome an opportunity to learn this, number one, because it's going to improve their competitiveness, because they're naturally competitive. They want this information. They can't afford it because they don't make enough money. We could provide it for them, but you got to go out and you got to do this. You got to spread this in your part of the country. And same thing with Team USA. And it would spread quickly.
Now, have you had any discussions with anybody in the PBA about this, or shared your ideas with anybody in the industry?
I went through my career saying to people, they're not going to listen to Rick Benoit, but they'll listen to you.
Right.
So I'll share this information with you, and then you share it with somebody else. That pathway gets interrupted. It doesn't work very effectively. So to be honest with you, it was one of the reasons I separated, because as much as manufacturers say, we want to work together, as much as PBA members say we want to work together, as much as everybody says we want to work together, they don't. They do on the small table, but then they get out in the real world and they don't.
Right.
So in a small room, they will all agree with me. But in the real world, they won't. And that's where my frustration came from. And I understand it. Those PBA players that aren't making money, that want to get a staff contract, that want to do this, want to do that, they're trying to feed their family. That's a different thing. So I believe it can be done, and I believe it will be done after the word gets spread enough. And it's headed that way. It'll happen. Unfortunately, changing anything in the sport of bowling is like trying to turn in the Panama Canal.
Mm-hmm.
You got too big of a ship, you ain't doing it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah. Why is that? Why do you think there's such an issue with? I mean, we have seen some adaptation, obviously, with if you want to go back as far as wood lanes and plastic balls, rubber balls, you introduce urethane, then you go to synthetic lanes, and you go to resin, different oil patterns, different types of oil. So, I mean, the sport has kind of adapted, but when it gets to the competition level, where's the disconnect? Why? I love the sport, and obviously you do too. You've spent your whole life around it. I've spent my whole life around it. I'm almost 50. I love the sport of bowling. I started this show to get more people, to get the word out there, to get more people involved in bowling. And I get so frustrated with seeing, okay, USBC have these rules. Well, PBA doesn't. If USBC is kind of a feeder system to get to the PBA, why can't they agree on anything? Why is there a big issue about urethane in the USBC, but not so much in the PBA?
I want to quietly answer this, because I'm not trying to offend anybody. True knowledge in the right positions is a problem. It's very political, and trying to sit down and have conversations with people in higher decision-making positions, they don't get it.
Right.
You don't understand it. And they're afraid to change, because they're trying to hold on to that position. Number one, they're not committed because they don't understand. And number two, they don't want to lose their position.
But it's not working, Richard. We have so many less league bowlers now than we did in the 80s and 90s.
And I try to tell people when I go and, you know, whether I'm doing camps or, you know, traveling the world, whatever, it's really, I want you to feel better about being a bowler. I want you to feel good about our sport. I don't want, you know, that's really what I'm focused on, is building your pride and respect for the sport. And just a few things that I've shared with you here, they're eye-opening thoughts.
Sure.
And there's many, many more that open up to, wow, bowling is, you know, there's something to this bowling thing that I never understood before, and it makes them proud. Whether they're at the recreational level or whether they're at the highest level. The challenge is that steps in between. The industry benefits from the steps. The sport benefits from the steps. Obviously, the coaches benefit from the steps. But the egos, the people that are willing to take a chance. I gave up a financial retirement, successful financial retirement, that I could have taken that pathway and didn't. Nobody else will.
Yeah. Nobody
else will do that. They're going to try to hang on to the job. Think about how much Chad Murphy gets paid.
Right.
That guy's dumb when it comes to what I'm talking to you about right now. He is ignorant and dumb. As smart as he is, when it comes to things I'm sharing with you right now, he's ignorant. And that's a shame. It shouldn't be that way because egos get involved. Well, other people know about bowling too. Rick's not the only guy. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And every time I sit down and have a good conversation with them, we all agree.
Right.
We don't disagree. We all agree. But we have to take the time to have that conversation. He should not be ignorant. In the position he's in, he shouldn't be ignorant. Neither should Tom Clark. Neither should anybody in any of the manufacturers. They should not be ignorant to the things I'm talking to you about. They shouldn't be.
That's right.
It's a shame, but that's the truth.
Yeah. No, it is the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope, and I've taken a route of two things, because a lot of people get mad at me and say, you need to take the high road. You need to take the high road. No, I don't need to take the high road. I'm not being near as aggressive as I should be.
Right. I mean, that's not going to help the sport if you stay quiet.
Yeah. So, you know, there's no reason to make the people that just want to show up with a few bowling balls on league night. You shouldn't make them have to think.
Right.
They don't want to think. They're just there for fun and socialize, and that's the way it should be. I don't care if they shoot 300 every game. It's just proper recognition. Give them a token. Give them a free hot dog. Give them whatever you want.
Yeah,
but those 5 people in the bowling center, whether they're kids or adults, that go to the Learn to Bowl thing, put their picture up on the wall.
Yeah.
I did this when I traveled internationally. Anybody that participated in the learning we put their picture on the wall. Well, what's their picture up there for? They're taking the next step. Mm-hmm. They're learning. We're identifying them, giving them the recognition, because they're not going to have the honor scores. They're bowling in an environment that you can't shoot 300.
Right.
But we have to give them proper recognition. So people come in and see pictures on the wall and say, well, why are those 5 people's pictures up there? Because they're taking the next challenge. That alone is all yet. Well, I want to take that challenge too.
Yeah.
So proper recognition is important. So we've got a lot of things that are messed up when we're trying to build steps from the biggest pool. The recreational pool should always be the biggest. It will always hold the majority of people. Don't piss them off. Make them happy. Let them do whatever they want. I don't care if they want to shoot 300 every game. But build a pathway that's distinctly different. And then when these people's competitive instincts get a little bit higher, they'll take that next step. It may never get up here, but then there are the people that will. So we just have to build that pathway. This has to look different than this. This will always be the minority, extreme minority. This will always be the extreme majority, and then make people feel good about taking the steps.
And they'll weed themselves out. I mean, the cream always rises to the top, right? We see that in the PBA, and there may be, 100 people in tournament, but it's usually the same 10 guys, 10, 15 guys in match play and making the step ladder. They are the elite. But if you do have guys that want a different challenge, how do you let them, how do you tell the average bowler, okay, you're bowling on a house shot, you're bowling with the best equipment in the world, maybe you're not as good as you are. How do you get them to bowl tournaments? How do you get them to bowl on sports shots and let them know that, what they do every week it's not hard anymore. Back in my day, you shoot 800. That was a big deal. Obviously it was an honor score. People do it every week now. I mean, it's just not the same. I don't know when the house shot was invented, but I know 30 years ago it wasn't that way. You average 220, you're a great bowler.
Yeah.
And it's not that way anymore. But how do you get them to want to take the next step? How do you make them aware of it?
Well, number one is you have to think of, the purpose, the variety. The proprietor has his purpose. The bowler has their purpose. You have to understand that we're encouraging people to take the next step. We're not mandating it. You don't have to take it.
Right.
So we're not doing anything wrong. The proprietor's not doing anything wrong. The recreational bowler's not doing anything wrong. It's that nobody's encouraged to provide something for the minority.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the minority thinks that the majority should be doing the same thing they do so they can feel good. They don't like that the minority's shooting 300 and they're struggling to shoot 220.
Yeah.
Because the perception, because it's an invisible sport, is, well, I can do that.
Yeah.
Because you're not building the visual. You're not showing them. And you can't take 20 years to educate people because they don't want to be educated. It has to be obvious.
Right.
So the competition has to be different. It can't be the same. You can't be bowling on TV and making it look like league, because the people that are bowling league don't have your knowledge, but they don't see it either, the invisible sport. So if you have to explain it to them, it's not going to work. So that's a decision-making process, is how are you going to make that look different so these people respect what you're doing up there? Can it be done? Yes, it can be done. But it has to take commitment from the people that are willing to accept that this is the minority. You're not trying to get the majority to participate that. You're not trying to get them to follow those same rules. You're trying to make this look completely different. You're trying to make the people that watch it say, that's impressive.
Yeah.
So there's many ways to do that. But to me, it has to be obvious, and it has to be, you can't have to go to a class. You don't have to have some sort of education to see the difference. So I have to open up minds, including bowlers' minds, coaches' minds, manufacturers' minds, governing bodies' minds, in the importance of establishing. The industry depends on the growth.
Yeah.
Whatever this recreational pool is, they don't want to go buy a whole bunch of balls.
Right.
They don't want that. They shouldn't have to. It's these steps up in here, these lower steps down here, that mean more ball sales. If you don't build those steps and you try to make them go from here to here, that ain't going to work either.
Yeah.
So it's mandatory that we build those steps. Can it be done? Yes, it can be done. But it's not going to happen until those egos start listening. They have to start listening. They have to. So I purposely try to piss some of them off. And that means good bowlers. That means intelligent people in the industry. I purposely try to piss them off just to get them to think. So
you have to ruffle feathers because people get complacent. You got, you have to You have to mix it up and challenge them and go after their spot. Go after them. Take them head on.
How many times we argue? This guy up here saying, "Well, they're not any good. They're not. They think they're as good as me, and they're not." Well, you can't beat them up. You can't be talking down to these people.
Sure.
They're just there for a good time. You piss them off, and they're going to leave too. Make them feel good. Let them have fun. Don't make them think. They don't want to have to think about the balls and the layout and the physical game. They don't want to think about that. They just want to go have fun. Just like in a pool, you want to splash around and laugh and giggle, and the pool's going to have fun, and people will keep coming back. But it's the steps in between that you have to build. And can it be done? Yes. And I'm trying to drive that message home. And, there's a whole lot of bowlers that think they belong up here. And we don't have to say a word. We don't have to tell them you're not that good. We just have to put a competition out there that says, invite them to come out and play.
Yep.
And if you don't understand why you're not doing good, go over here. We'll tell you why. You don't understand these lane play zones. There's no other lane play zones on here that will fit. What does 1 degree, 2 degrees, 3 degrees, 4 degrees, 5 degrees, 6 degrees, 7 degrees, and 8 degrees? You try to use more than 8 degrees of entry angle, you can't follow transition.
Right.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
It'll work for a few frames, but it's not going to work. And then it's black and white. Shoot, I've been doing that for 20 years.
Right.
If I'd known that before, I wouldn't have done that. And it takes one weekend to change the way they look at the sport.
Well, usually they go out to nationals and they figure out pretty quick.
They figure out pretty good, don't they? Yeah. They figure out pretty quick. And they shouldn't have to feel that way.
It's true. They get overwhelmed. Yeah, you're right. They're not prepared for that.
Yeah, we shouldn't be beating them up. I mean, it's just about proper recognition is what it is from that.
I like that.
You identify the people that are taking those next steps. You identify them and recognize them for the steps they're taking. Their competitive instincts will take them there. Some people can't live with a competitive instinct. It eats them up.
Yeah.
Other people need it, And so we have to feed those that have that competitive instinct. We have to give them the opportunity without pissing off these other people.
Yeah.
We don't need to piss them off to make us feel good because we're the minority.
Agreed. I like that. David Kepke wants to know, who was the best sponge on tour when you were ball rep? The quickest study? Anybody that just got it right away?
I think that what I would share with people is I went about when I was a tour rep, I don't want anybody to take this wrong. There's a whole lot of people that quit other staffs to work with me.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of independents that I worked with. I worked with independents because I always took care of the staff first, don't get me wrong. But if I did my job right, I didn't need to be talking to them much during the competition. And during the competition is when I would talk to the other people. So if I did my job right and prepared that bowler, they were better off. I didn't want to stand behind them when they were bowling good. I only needed to be behind them when their pictures weren't clear. I was able to work with a lot of independents and even work with people on other staffs. And the people that would quit their staffs and have immediate success was astounding. In 1 week, the Tom Baker story that everybody knows, he quit I don't even want to mention the company because of their rep was a really good friend of mine, but he quit a company to come work with me the week that he made that 5-year exemption and $100,000 that he won.
Yep.
If everybody knew that true story, that is heartwarming. It is a life-changing story that could be told. And there was many of those with many bowlers. And we could share those stories. And those are the things that meant a lot. I would say that there was so many sponges. If anybody was following at the time when I was when I was repping, I would be sitting down to talk with somebody, and there'd be me and the one person. It wouldn't take 5 minutes, and there's 15 people around listening. It's not because I'm smarter. I'm not smarter. I just been around it for so damn long and experienced so many things and looked at it from a different perspective. I believe that my growth as far as knowledge came from the times when I was out traveling the Southwest playing softball and my brother was bowling. Well, I wasn't competing because I was playing softball all the time, but I loved bowling, so I'd go watch. And I did back when the Southwest region of the PBA was really, really strong. And I would go there and I loved to watch and predict who was going to do this and who wasn't going to do that. So from watching all the different bowlers, not just focused on my game, looking at all the difference and how could I predict who was going to do good and who wasn't going to do good. And they come up, man, how'd you know that? It came from watching all the different styles and piecing it together. And instead of looking at the things that are constantly changing, I'm looking at things that are constantly the same. The constants in our sport are the dimensions of the lane, the configuration of the pins, shapes and angles that fit on the lane. That's it. It hasn't changed. Learn to play them. Why are you using that one? Because the oil's moving down. It's never going to be the same. That's the muddy part of the field. Go try to play football and try to change directions in the mud. How's that going to work out for you?
Right.
Don't change directions in the mud. So there's a muddy part of the field. And so all of this teaching came from not participating, but loving the sport from a watching perspective, if that makes sense. So the greatest sponge, there's a lot of them. Yeah. There was a lot, and it wasn't necessarily on a staff. Chris Barnes and I came out at the same time. He joined the tour the same year I became Brunswick's tour rep. And so Chris, I would tell you that, taking Chris from what he was as an amateur to what he became as a professional from a career perspective is a great story, but he's not the only story. He was just the first story. There's a whole lot of them I could share with the Kelly Kulik story. Do you know the Kelly Kulik story?
I don't.
She when she won the Tournament of Champions against the guys, she spent a week at my house the week before learning. Kelly Kulik always hooked the ball. But we're going to go bowl the Tournament of Champions. The Tournament of Champions is never a tough condition. There's always a group of seniors that are going to play a part of the lane, so we know that part of the lane is going to break down. Yeah. We're going to spend a week teaching you how to use response time, how to stay in the friction, and not go left. In 1 week's time, Kelly Kulik went from being who Kelly Kulik, as people know her, to being somebody they never saw. And Walter A. Williams and Chris Barnes just shook their head. I know what she's doing because Rick's trying to teach us to do the same thing, but we can't do it.
Right.
And she was trying to get on Ebonite's staff. I was on Brunswick's staff at the time. And she was trying to get on Ebonite's staff, so she was using Ebonite balls. And so her Ebonite rep was telling her to do this, and she'd come over and say, don't do it. Don't do it. Stay committed to what we talk about. That part of the lane's going to dry up. Get in there. There's going to be a shim. Stay in that dry. Use that shim. Weaken your hand. Stay there. Don't go that way because you can do something they can't. There's two ways to win in the sport of bowling. You can be better than everybody else, or you can be unique.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be better than everybody else at the PBA Tour. You have to be unique. And the easiest way to be unique is have the understanding that it used to be a secret weapon. I didn't tell everybody. And there was a whole lot of people that come and wanted help. And I said, no, I'll give you my loyalty if I get your loyalty in return, was the direct message I would give them. And Kelly was an example of somebody who did. And it made history, but she's not the only one. The Tom Baker, there was a Del Ballard story, there was a Marshall Holman story, there was a Michael Machuga story, there was a Norm Duke story. These are people that left staffs to come over here and saw immediate success. And then once they got that knowledge, they can go take it and use it however they want. It doesn't take long to learn once you learn it. And these guys are gifted. I mean, they're very, very good. So whether it's, there's just a ton of stories.
How did you, you figured it out. How come you're one of the few?
I don't know. I don't have that answer. I learned it because if you think back to the early 90s when reactive resins came out, I had a pro shop at the time. I had another job, but I was doing the pro shop business at the time. And we used to carry every ball. You know, the industry had every ball. Well, then they came out with they started making bowling balls like they were gumballs, and you couldn't carry every bowling ball. And you read their manufacturing sheets, and they said they do this and they do this. Well, they all say they're doing the same thing, but they don't do the same thing. How are they different? So I was trying to figure out how can I help my customers understand the differences in these. So I went to lengths and said, okay, let's try to put them all on the same piece of paper. Well, that doesn't work because they all still look like they're doing the same thing. Well, let me put a scale view of the lane in the pro shop. Try to put a scale view of the lane in your pro shop. That's where you finally learn how much longer the lane is than it is wide.
Yep.
It's like, it didn't fit. It's like, and then that was the first thing that triggered saying, I'm using this ball to read different distances on the lane and give me different shapes on the lane, and they don't match to what the manufacturer's saying. This ball may do it for a few frames, but if I use this ball for any length of time, it's best used in this zone. And so now I could put a scale view of the lane, showing everybody how long it was versus how narrow it was. And then I said, let's look at it from the perspective of the pins, because that's the object of the sport. We're reading the ball rolling at us now instead of the ball rolling away from us. The head pin's in the middle of the lane. There's only 18 inches between where the pocket and the gutter. You only got 18 inches.
Yeah.
You can't hook at 18 inches.
Right.
It's the people trying to make balls that hook 60 inches in those 18 inches that are struggling. You don't need to. We can all do that. So when you look at it from the perspective of the pins and the ball rolling at you, it opens up your eyes. So that's one of the messages I share with people is let's go down and watch the ball roll at us for a while instead of away from us.
Yeah.
Really changes your perspective. So how we do it and why I do it, I don't know. Maybe I just took a deeper dive and lucked into something. I don't know.
Right.
But it unfolded, and it just, the answers, everything started to connect together. It's like, oh, now it all makes sense. So you can't fool me. It's impossible to fool me because the dimensions of the lane don't change. The configuration of the pins don't change. What type of hit can you get in the center? That used to be the first thing I do. I'm not worried about the lane. I don't care about that. Joy Esterson, you ever heard of the name Joy Esterson?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Joy? Okay, well, a lot of people didn't. Back when the men and the women were bowling on the same pair, remember when they had the men and the women?
Yep.
Okay. Joy Esterson was crossing with Mika.
Okay.
Joy Esterson was on Brunswick staff, and so was Mika at the time. I helped Mika, and I'm helping Joy. Joy Esterson beat Mika by 742 pins.
Wow.
And Mika just laughed because he knew what I was doing. Joy Esterson had the lowest rev rate of any bowler in the building, but I was making her ball roll at the arrows on purpose. Mika couldn't hit the pocket if his ball rolled there,
right.
And he knew it.
Yeah.
She beat him by 742 pins. Now, she's not 742 pins better than Mika. No, every week out, she wouldn't be. But because she used her uniqueness and understood the part of the lane to use, he couldn't do what she was doing. It was impossible. the same way Kelly won, the same way Machuga won, the same way Del Ballard did it, the same way Norm Duke did it, the same way. Those guys have uniquenesses. The same thing that drove Brian Voss nuts. Remember when he said ban sanded bowling balls?
Yep.
He was mad at me. And I even went over to his ball rep at the time, was Chuck Gardner at the time, and told him what I was going to do. Chris Lowshutter was on the show. And I said, look, we're not going to throw the ball anywhere near the middle part of the lane. This was Chris's first show. We're going to stay way out to the side, and we're going to be throwing the ball to the right. And Chris, and if you weren't there, but Brian Voss was playing the middle part of the lane, slow hooking it all week long. I went over and told Brian and told Chuck, this is what we're going to do. Guess why I did that?
Why?
Brian Voss thinks he's smarter than everybody else. Oh, you're going to go over there and use that sanded ball outside? I'm going to go over there and I'm going to play it. I'm going to use that. Yeah, right. You hadn't done it all week. You don't understand that part of the lane. All I'm doing is saying this to you to get you to go do what you're getting ready to do, you dummy. Because Chris would not have won if you had done what you've been doing all week.
Right.
So I used that against them.
Wow.
And I used to do it when the Tournament of Champions, when it was 50 feet and 19 mils of oil. One time we'd play the first arrow. The next time we're at third arrow. Why are you playing them over here, this game, and then over here? It's because of who we were bowling against.
Yeah.
And Robert Smith. I love Robert Smith.
Me too.
Qualified high, Mika qualified low. They met in match. They had to meet in best of 7 match play. And Mika and his Mika voice comes over, what am I going to do? And I say, well, you're not going to be playing to the right and let Robert take advantage of you. We're going to start out at 15 because you can still hit the bucket at 15. And if Robert's going to take advantage of your friction, he's going to have to stand on the left gutter and throw it to your friction. We're not going to play 5, or he's going to throw it through your friction to 5 and hope it comes back. Robert never shot 200. Mika averaged 230. Robert left the lanes, walked right by Mika, and just went right by me and flipped me off. These are the stories that should be told.
Yes.
And there's a jillion of them. And it's not because of anything other than we're playing the dimensions of the lane. We're not playing an oil pattern. We understand how to play the dimensions of the lane, the configuration of the pins. We're focused on the constants, not the inconstants.
Wow.
So
that's next level.
Yeah, and it's fun. And it really raises the pride, the respect for the sport, the athlete. And that's the messages I'm delivering whenever I go and do camps. Those are the message. How do we take whatever you do naturally and turn it into a uniqueness? What lane play zone should you be using? Should you be using the one that's so small down lane that everybody's trying to sell a ball for? Should you be using that one? Maybe you should be using one of these that's a whole lot bigger. Because if you look at the distance of the lane, I'll give you these numbers: 17, 32, 39, 43, 46, 48. Those are how the different degrees intersect with the gutter. Mm-hmm. So if you listen to that, 17 to 32, that's 15 feet. I got 15 feet of mistake room if I learn to play that one. But if you want 6, 7, 8 degrees, you got 3 feet of mistake room distance-wise. And we know the oil is going to move around that much. Right. So why are you using that zone? Makes no sense. Once you make it that simple and put it out for them, they see it and well, I've been trying to do it the wrong way for years. And that's why we struggle with transition so much now, because the oil moves around so much.
Right.
Well, quit using a part of the lane that's so sensitive to transition. That's the muddy part of the field.
Now,
so when we're talking about, go ahead.
How has that changed between, people put so much emphasis on rev rate, and especially the two-handers. How does that play into their game? Say a Belmo or a Simo. Do they understand the angles of the lane?
If you watch Belmo and you see where his ball is actually reading the lane, It's not reading where people think it is. People think he's looking for motion down lane. He's not. He's looking for a certain rotation. He's matching up his rotation to what it should look like down lane. He's using the early part of the lane to get that rotation to look right down lane. And the same thing with, there's guys that happen into it and they're doing what I'm saying. They just didn't know how it came about. They bowled and well, that worked for me. I'm going to do that. They couldn't describe it, but they were doing it. And that's what you find out when you start communicating with these higher level bowlers. Well, I've been doing that. Yes, you have been doing that. It's the art of the sport. You're very artistic. You're seeing it. You just couldn't define it. And so the great bowlers, the Walter Ray Williams, he's been doing it all his life.
Yeah.
I've seen him, I've seen him hook the ball at the arrows and strike. Nobody else is doing that. The guy's got more titles than anybody on the PBA tour. Nobody's trying to do what Walter's doing.
Right. Sure.
And it's why? Because the 6 pins laying in the gutter and just tapping the 10 pin over and it's just follow. It's not impressive.
Right.
Trying to look for that impressive strikes, put your eyes in the muddy part of the field. Not smart in an environment where the oil's moving around so much. And in today's environment, more oil on the lane means more oil movement. And these on the PBA tour, you've got so many bowlers using fresh cover stocks. Those fresh cover stocks, they've never seen oil. Yep. They got big old pores in them. They're just sucking that oil up in a heartbeat. And then they go drill another ball.
Right, that's true.
On dry ball, new cover, on top of new cover, on top of new cover. That's not going to happen in anywhere else but the PBA Tour.
Yeah.
So it's a different environment, and learning to deal with that is important. And a lot of the PBA players don't understand the dimensions of the lane. They could be successful. They could be doing something different, but their lack of education makes them all fall into the same trap and think you just got to keep chasing oil. Where you could take somebody that could play that early zones and teach them a lesson, but they're not doing it.
Yeah.
No, it is what it is.
Do you ever hold camps, like say when travel around to different PBA tournaments, or do you ever try to do something like that?
I was traveling the world from 2010 to 2018.
Okay.
And it was time to come home.
Yeah.
I'd missed a lot, and it was just time to come home. And I came home with intentions of traveling the United States. I came home with the motorhome. And I spent 1 year planning everything. I moved down to New Mexico to stay away from bowlers, stay away from, I needed to go someplace that was away so I could focus on what I was doing. Mm-hmm. It was so funny. I ended up being about 3 miles from Mike Miller's bowling center. I thought I was going someplace where I didn't know anybody. But I spent that year preparing to go out and share all this BowlU stuff. I bought a motorhome. I was going to live in a motorhome. I was going to travel all over. Had it all, the 9 zones I was going to travel. I had it all planned out. And I started up in the Northeast. I was down in Tucson area. Well, anyway, I bought the motorhome in Tucson, drove it up to Buffalo, Brad Angelo's place. That's the place I started. And I spent several months there helping that area get started with the BowlU stuff. And that's when COVID hit. And when COVID hit, I just made a choice that I wasn't going to be a conductor. I wasn't going to carry it to the rest of the world, and I didn't want to catch it. So what am I going to do? I drove my motorhome back to where my sister lives here in Topeka, Kansas, parked it. She has some acreage out here, parked it out there, lived in my motorhome, waited for COVID to go away. I waited 2 years for it to go away. I never caught it. I was fine. I protecting my heart, my lungs. I was exercising. I was doing everything because I thought everybody was going to get it. Right. And I thought it was done. My very first camp was up in Massachusetts. I drove the motorhome up to Massachusetts to do a camp in Massachusetts and caught COVID.
Oh, man. After all that.
It was the worst kind of COVID, turned into long COVID. When people talk about COVID and long COVID, they're not the same thing.
No, not at all.
I became a different person. the neurological effects that it had on me were, I don't know, it was scary. Let me just put it that way.
Yeah.
And they didn't know what to do. All the doctors I went to, they said, well, we can try this. Well, we can try this. I was telling you about, I was trying to take care of my heart and lungs. So I was going to the gym, and my heart rate was usually around 80 or 90 on a treadmill at 3.2. I called it my 3.2 heart rate.
Yeah.
After COVID, my 3.2 heart rate was 115.
Holy cow.
So my heart and my brain were dramatically affected. My fatigue and my mental willpower, my ability to stay focused, all those things were just shot. So there was no way I was going to do it. And then I stayed there in trying to recuperate from that for a long time. And then I decided to go back out and start doing it. I started traveling again, and every time I'd travel, I'd get sick. My immune system was all screwed up.
Sure, yeah.
So it really screwed up everything that I did. So then I said, well, let's just do things online. So BowlU's taken off online. A lot of people are doing that. I build the training tools that I make. The BowlU training tools are doing great. All of those things are doing great. Now I can't travel because I'm too busy doing these things.
Right. Well, I mean, at least you have that option to where you can put it online. I mean, technology is great. Mark Baker does the same thing when he can too, with his programs. But it's unfortunate, man. I can't say I've had long COVID, but I know my family and I have been sicker in the last 5 years than we ever were in our entire lives. It's just, and it's unfortunate how it all started and how it all got around. We don't need to get into that. Yeah, I feel you, dude. Yeah. It's unfortunate. Let's talk real quick about your brother, Bob. Is he still involved in the sport?
He coaches a high school team.
Oh, he does
here in Topeka, and does well. They've won several state titles. And put the high school team, Seaman Vikings, is the team that he coaches, and made them very successful.
That's great.
He loves doing that. He doesn't bowl much anymore. He may, and I don't go up to the bowling center here in Topeka purely because I'm so busy doing what I'm doing. If I go up there,
right,
I'm going to get distracted. And I hate to say it, but this part of the country doesn't. It's just not the bowling part of the capital of the world. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
So I don't want to get too trapped into, going up to the bowling center here in Topeka. But my brother is doing very well. He has a business that he has an oil change place, mobile oil. He has that, and he does. Bail bonds is his other thing. Bail bonds things. He stays very busy between those two things. He stays very busy. But from bowling, nah, not anymore.
Interesting.
Not high school coaching.
Well, I mean, it's hard once you get out of the sport professionally. What do you do after that, right? I mean, unless you have some money saved up or in any athlete, honestly, it's hard to go back to kind of say normal life and when you're used to traveling the country and all that. So it's number one, he's giving back.
Bob's been pretty impressive. He came back. He had no construction building experience in his life, and he came back and became a contractor.
Wow.
And how in the hell are you going to do that, Bob? You've never built a house in your life.
Right.
But he was very successful at it.
Wow.
And then he was doing that and the bail bonds thing. And then obviously the housing market went down.
Yep.
So he got out of that because, there just wasn't a lot of houses being built. But now he's doing much more comfortable with what he's doing now, much easier on him. And, he's 70. How old is he now? 74, something like that. So it's better on him. And he seems to be doing good at it. He seems to be enjoying it.
That's really cool. Were you there when he shot 300 or were you watching on TV? You were there?
Yeah, if you watch that, I'm that long-haired guy that came up behind him on the show.
I'll have to watch that again. Obviously proud of him for that, but I mean, like, what was going through your mind? Were you nervous watching him? When you knew like
No.
8 in a row?
I wasn't nervous. I was living in Dallas at the time, and he was up here in Topeka. Bob was a very good body man, and he had a body shop business. He had his own body shop, and very good body man. And he had been on tour for 6 years, and his best place was 6th place. Best finish was ever 6th place. But he came home, and that's when he developed his unique style with he's double jointed, putting his thumb back in here. He could roll it up on his forearm and keep his thumb in it.
Wow. Yeah.
And so he spent 5 years training that. And then he went out and won 5 regionals in 1 year down the Southwest region. Was tough. And he wanted to go out and try it on the tour. But the family didn't want him to because the pro shop was so successful. Well, I was living in Texas, and he would call me all the time. And, he was struggling with the family didn't want him to, and he wanted to. I said, Bob, you can't be 40, 50 years old wishing you had. You got to at least try.
Yeah.
And so he committed to doing that. And that whole story was so special because it was first tournament back out. He had won all those regionals. He had picked up a sponsor. It was his very first tournament after, laying off the tour for so many years. And so it was an awesome, awesome story. And obviously, the personal things of, the body shop business. And he was always very good with cars. To this day, he still works on cars. But long story short is, I was a big part of that. He would not have done that if he hadn't had the support of just the emotional support. You got to do it, Bob. You got to try. And so history is made because of that. It's pretty cool.
I love that. I love that. That's awesome. How many did he win? Did he win any titles on tour?
He won 4 times, counting tournaments in Japan.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, three here in the States and 1 over in Japan. So he made good money, but he's not Hall of Fame caliber, but Hall of Fame story, that's for sure.
Absolutely. And throwing 300 on ABC, you can't beat that.
Yeah,
that's a story you'll take for the rest of your life. Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah. Well, we're going to wrap it up here, but I have a segment called the Imbecile of the Week where I take something I see online and I screenshot it and put it on here. And I have two competitors tonight. I want I want you to pick the winner. So you up for that?
Imbecile? I'm looking for the biggest imbecile.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I'm all for it.
All right. Here we go.
It's time for everybody's favorite segment.
If you guys don't know how to use a seatbelt, just ring your call button and Tommy will come back there and hit you on the head with a tack hammer.
Lloyd, just when I think you couldn't possibly be any dumber.
Here's the Imbecile of the Week.
Some people are really stupid.
All right. Here is our first competitor here. Wrong one. Where am I? Okay. This was sent to me by John Sperone. It was in the Bowlage group. Michael Liu had said, I still have to knock over 10 pins just like a one-hander. As for the rev rate debate, Robert Smith didn't win a million titles on tour, so rev rate ain't what matters. So Ryan Schaefer, a friend of the show, former PBA pro, says, why do you think that is? Environment matters. When Robert and I were the higher rev guys, they didn't want you throwing it like that. High rev guys had to learn to throw it straighter by cutting back just to compete. How many lower rev guys are on tour today? The answer is none. Why? The environment dictates what style is successful. If Robert Smith were in his prime and bowling today on tour, I'm sure he would kick plenty of ass. To which John Sperone, who is a friend of mine, is up for contention here. When were you ever a high rev guy? Robert Smith had more revs in his backswing than you ever had. Is that a fair assessment? I mean, Ryan could hook the lane when he needed to. He wasn't not many people were Robert Smith back in the day. But
when you were reading that, I was sitting there saying they're not even in the same category.
Of course not.
With all due respect, there's a reason Ryan doesn't have many titles. He certainly had the talent.
Right.
But his strategic decisions were, maybe they were based on he thought he had a higher rev rate than he did. I don't know. But I felt sorry for Ryan many times because I felt I could have helped Ryan. But
right.
He is one stubborn dude.
He really is
a hard-headed, stubborn dude.
And he watches the show, and he's a friend of mine. And he's not going to like the fact that he's up for Imbecile of the Week. But for him to compare himself against Robert, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm not going to call him an imbecile. I'm going to call him a hard-headed. I used to shake my head behind him. So why are you doing that? But he's him. Obviously, he's on the show. You know him well. It's just Ryan.
Ryan is Ryan.
Made him good, but it limited his potential. If you ask me,
it did. I agree. Kevin Williams sparked a discussion. He said that everyone is so stuck in the old days. So I felt like I had to comment on that and said, well, the old days, the sport had millions of people watching in a prime spot leading into the wide world of sports on ABC and tons of sponsors. Well, Chet Lewis responded to me and says, you know who most of these people were? Shut-ins, people in bars, and people in nursing homes. I'd say that made up 60% of the audience. The rest were hardcore bowlers like me.
Oh my God.
Really?
Oh my God.
60% of the audience on ABC on Saturday afternoon were shut-ins and people had nothing better to do. Winos, I guess, but they weren't hardcore bowlers like Chet Lewis.
There was two imbeciles there. Number one, I read what Kevin was saying. And it's like, that's an imbecile. That's an imbecile. You have no clue what you're talking about. Number one. And then obviously this guy. It's like, I'm not saying that the yesteryear's bowlers were better or worse. It was a totally different environment.
Sure, yeah.
I had to deal with Mark Roth, and we all know how much we respected Mark Roth. Yep. And technology evolved, and that role that he had wasn't going to match up. But if you understand the sport, I'll make this the last thing, is find out how to use response time effectively. Because what we used to do, we used to have slow response balls, so we use quicker response releases. Now we have quicker response time balls and use slower response time releases. If you understand response time, you'll understand that's all you really need to know. I'll leave it at that. So those imbeciles.
All right,
so you had a few of them.
Yeah, no, we do, and I didn't actually think of putting Kevin in there. That's hilarious. But for simplicity's sake, I guess I have to be the tiebreaker. He's gonna kill me for this. Hold on, Ryan Schaefer, for comparing yourself to Robert Smith as a high rev guy. You are this week's imbecile of the week. Wear as a badge of honor. It's totally in good fun, but you should be proud. You join a very, very small list of imbeciles.
To me, it would have been Kevin. Kevin would have been the biggest imbecile.
You said it. I don't want to say it because I might have. I
hope he's not your best friend or anything. Ryan was an imbecile, but I think Kevin was a bigger one.
Rick, I absolutely loved our conversation. You have taught me so much tonight. We've had so many people on the last 181 other episodes, and every single week I learn something new, and I absolutely appreciate that. I appreciate you coming on. I know you don't do a lot of these, but I hope you had fun. I hope you had a good time. I really would love to have you back on to tell those stories when you're on the road, if that's cool with you.
Just let me know, my friend.
Okay. I appreciate it.
Made me feel comfortable. I appreciate it, buddy.
That's good. Well, hey, that's the fun part about doing what I do. And I used to have other shows. I'm a big wrestling fan, and I used to have a lot of old pro wrestlers on. And it's funny, whenever I had a new guest, I'd ask them how much time he got. And they don't know me from Adam, right? So like, oh, I got 15 minutes. It's like they'll give themselves an out just in case it doesn't go well and they can just leave. But once we start talking and once we start conversing and everything just kind of moves along organically, I'm getting an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours out. You know what I mean? Like, people are just kind of skittish by nature because they don't know who they're going to be talking to. So that's a big compliment to me that you enjoyed your time here, and I made you feel comfortable. So that
you deserve it. You deserve it. You bet, buddy.
I appreciate that. So
look forward to the next time.
Is there a better way to get a hold of I sent you my cell phone number in Messenger. So if you just want to shoot me a message or whatever like that so I can save you on my phone, that's probably an easier way to.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll send it to you.
I appreciate that. So, all right, Rick, have a great night, brother. I appreciate you. Thank you for what you do for the sport of bowling, because we all love this sport. We want to see it grow. And I love your ideas. I love your passion. And I'll definitely keep in touch with you.
All right, my friend. Take care.
Thank you, sir. Have a good night.
Right.
Thanks. All right, guys. Rick Benoit, younger brother of Bob Benoit, obviously, who shot 300 on ABC. What a guy. I mean it. Like, I learned something new every single week on this show with the amazing guests that we've had over the last 4 years. And it is an honor and a privilege to speak to guys like that, who loves this sport and wants it to grow and isn't afraid to tell the truth about things. He isn't afraid to have the tough conversations. He said Chad Murphy was dumb. He said he was ignorant. We all know that, but it's nice to hear somebody else from the industry share that opinion. And if Chad ever wanted to come on the show to rebut any of that, he's welcome to. I am open to having anybody on the show. It's all about having conversations, about having dialogue. Big fan of the late Charlie Kirk, who would do that. He'd go out and have the tough conversations. He would try to educate people. And I love that BowlU does that. I love that BowlU starts from the pins and works their way back. It's such a unique way of teaching that and having a different perspective, dealing with transition, dealing with the dimensions of the lane, the configuration of the pins, which doesn't change. The fact that you don't play oil, you play the dimensions. I don't know why that never occurred to me, being a fan of the sport for the last 45 years. Never would have thought of that. So that's why I'm so grateful to have guys like Rick on the show to teach us and to share the knowledge that he's gained over the last how many years. So I'm super, super grateful for that. Next week, I'm pretty sure I'm going to have David Boog Kroll on the show. I want to preview the PBA season coming up here. Talk about what he's been doing the last year. I believe he's in Vegas right now at a tournament. So I'm hoping to get him back on the show. He's been on here 2 or 3 times already. He's one of our return guests. Always fun. So hopefully I'll have Boog on here next week. I'm also, again, I mentioned last week, working on Pete McCordick, who also shot 300 on ABC TV. Looking to get him in the next, hopefully 2 weeks from now. He bowls on Wednesday nights, but I think he's able to get a sub. So I think I'm looking at, February 18th for that. So 2 weeks from now. And also going to have Danny Wiseman back on. I mentioned that at the top of the show. We're going to watch his win at the baseball stadium. I believe, was that Milwaukee maybe? I don't, was that Coors Field? No, that's Colorado. I don't remember. No, Miller Park. I think it was Milwaukee, actually. We're going to have him on as well. That's your last week before they go into 3 months. Yes, that's why I'm trying to get Boog on here. And I appreciate all you guys' support. Even though JP's not here anymore, I do have an update on him. He won't talk to me. He's I don't know why. But I heard from one of his exes that they saw him last week, and he is 1 month sober. So said he looked great. She spent time with him and his dad, had lunch. So JP Jr. is doing well, and you never know. He may be back on the show one day. Dr. Ocho is still taking care of his family. So hopefully he gets back on here as well. It was Miller Park. That's what I thought. Okay. Sometimes the brain, sometimes I remember stuff. I'm getting older, and I don't remember as many things as I used to. But yes, thank you, Nico, for confirming that. What else? Go Pats. Go Patriots. We got Super Bowl 60 coming up this Sunday. Patriots and Seahawks. Man, I'm nervous. I haven't been this nervous in a while. When Tom Brady was the quarterback, I wasn't as nervous as I normally is, but Drake May, the second-year quarterback, can he do what Brady did in Brady's second year, winning his first Super Bowl as a second-year quarterback? Who knows? Mike Vrabel got Coach of the Year, so congrats to him. And I'm looking forward to it. Seahawks are tough, man. They can run the ball, but Pats, don't sleep on the Pats defense. Defense wins championships. And Drake learned after that 5-turnover game that he had to take care of the ball. So don't expect anything major out of him. Maybe a couple long balls to Kayshon Boutte, but look for a lot of Stephon Diggs and a lot of Ramondre Stevenson, Travion Henderson. So I'm looking forward to it. Philip, what's going on, brother? I am feeling so much better. I still have some congestion, but man, I am light years ahead of where I have been the last month. Buddy Mike Val has decided not to continue with the show. He just has too much going on at home. He typically takes his daughter to dance class on Wednesday nights, and it's just he'd rather do that than talk bowling on a podcast. But he's still a good friend, and he still has his own show, Down Memory Lane. So check that out whenever he's on Facebook. That's a great show as well. And we're also getting Chuck Ritchie's hooking me up with Pete Weber. Pete spends time with his grandkids on Wednesday nights, and he bowls, I want to say Monday or Tuesday. We're looking for a good day, other than a Wednesday, to do a special show on a different night to get PDW on the show. But he did say he wants to do the show, and that's a bucket list guest that I want to have on. So we're looking forward to that. And I still think Mikey Val is going to try to get me Bo Burton, Nelson Burton Jr. So, but for the time being, until Oach comes back, if Oach comes back, he's still part of the team until he says otherwise. But I'm still going to be here every week that I can be, entertaining you guys, bringing you some of the best guests in the business, and talking about the sport that we love. So enough filibustering for me, guys. I appreciate your support. Thank you for hanging on tonight. Thank you again to Rick Benoit from BowlU. Amazing guy, amazing coach, and such a wealth of knowledge, and is very well liked by bowlers, but maybe not the people in the bowling industry. But short memory should improve my bowling. It should, you would think, right? I'm definitely going to try a lot of things that I learned tonight from Rick, so appreciate that. Yes, Nico, absolutely, brother. Just want to keep people abreast of what's going on with Straight Up 5. So, all right, guys, we will be back next week, hopefully with Boog. If not, I'll figure it out. We'll get somebody else, but I'll still be here next week. So, good night, everybody. Have a great week. We will see you next time. Take care, y'all.
Thanks for listening to this edition of Straight Up 5. You can follow the show on Twitter at StraightUp5Pod. Follow Rad Rob at Rad Rob Gaming. And follow Dr. Ocho at the Dr. Ocho. Got a question? Send your questions to StraightUp5Podcast@gmail.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Straight Up 5. Right here on the Rad Rob